Hi guys.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good and dandy. I've been and had a nice day, spent some time with somebody, which was glorious. And I've come in and now I'm going to spend some time with you. And again, I'm going to feel glorious. So thank you.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, nice to hear you, Ange.
Oh,
nice
thank
to hear
you.
about Andy's development.
Indeed.
I have been with him a little bit on this journey because I've been listening in on and kind of watching it build. And Andy, I do think you are going to end up getting a juicer.
Absolutely. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
A good quality supply on a weekly or fortnightly basis.
Andy, let's be realistic and honest about this. If there's someone who can research it and get the goods, it's going to be you. That's going to happen. And my thing is I reckon someone may even gift you this juicer from underneath their sink when you start eating.
Yes. Oh, where's everyone gone? Oh, here we go.
Sinks.
Yeah. So there might be something much more productive in it because they might be saying, actually, Andy, now you've got the supplier, can you provide the juice?
Yeah, absolutely. Put it out there.
Let's see where we are with this one in 6 months' time. So by then, I think by then the coffee will have gone completely. Then I won't be using coffee back in 6 months' time at all. I'm just going through my current stock of coffee. I'm using it up, but I've not bought any new coffee. So as I'm weaning myself off and I'm lowering my, I've got a 3-litre Kilner jar that I keep my coffee in.
Wow.
So I buy all these packets and then cut them open and then tip them all into this 3-litre Kilner jar. And then obviously it's sealed airtight. And then I just pull that out. 2 or 3 spoonfuls now I'm having in the morning, whereas it used to be 8. And
brilliant.
So yeah, I'm slowly working down that. I think I'm about halfway down the 3-litre Kilner jar now.
Cool.
Big way to go. I don't know. I haven't had a cup of tea since I've drunk this, the juice that I was saying about from the sauerkraut juice with hot water.
Yes.
Business. I haven't had a cup of tea. Now I'm an addict. That's like saying I haven't had a fag. Yeah, I had my fags.
Wow.
Really, to be honest?
As long as it's working and as long as you're feeling good.
Yeah, and I'm still a little stunned. And smiling. That's the good one. That's when I know, okay, yeah. I can feel the inside bit going, and it's coming out. Right, I'm going to shut up because I was but thank you.
That's funny.
Angie, are you ready then?
I am ready. Would you like to start the recording, sir?
I'm just typing it in now. So, bring that up. Start recording. And everything
is magic.
Magic. Have you got a theme for tonight?
The middle path.
Angie?
The middle path. Can you hear me? Oh,
no.
That's right. I don't know what's going on with my internet tonight. It's gone wonky. The middle path is the theme for tonight.
Middle path?
Yeah, the middle path.
The middle path. Or as they say down south, path.
Path. It's a path. A path. Shrubbery.
Yes. Right. Are you ready?
Eyes ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. Hello on YouTube. So, tonight, I thought it would be interesting to discuss the middle path. My journey to the middle path has been extreme in both ways. So, if anyone knows the trials and tribulations of walking the middle path, it will be me. So first of all, I apologise for not being here last week. I had a banging headache for 2 days. And what's really weird is my friend Val also had the same banging headache for 2 days. So I don't know what was going on in the world, but yeah, there we go. But I'm here. I'm back. Ha ha. So yes, the middle path. What is the middle path? It sounds like a bit like I wasn't going to say this. It sounds a bit Phil Collins, doesn't it? No, there's anything wrong with Phil Collins, but he's a bit middle of the road, isn't he? But this, I don't know. I suppose when I was in my 20s and maybe even in my 30s, the idea of walking a middle path would have been shocking. The reason for that is because I liked to shock people, and I liked to poke people, and I liked to wind people up. So yeah, the idea of walking a middle path and not being extreme in either way, either side of that middle path, whether it was, the unicorns and rainbows, or whether it was, something darker. The idea of walking in the middle of that and, not being either or would have, it's like, no, I'm not doing that. Because I liked the going to the extremes. So the middle path. So my dog's sitting here looking at me. I don't know what he wants, but he's looking. You know how Jack Russell's just stare at you. Yeah. Anyway, he's gone now. Yeah. So the middle path, you could say, is like the synchromistic journey, if you like. That's one way to describe it. It does wind and weave, obviously, and there are signposts on the way and forks in the road and all the kind of stuff you get on a path. But essentially, I suppose for me, what the middle path is, what it represents, is the ability to, number one, know thyself. That's key to walking the middle path. But also being able to take from the right-hand path or take from the left-hand path. We call that cherry picking. Yeah, and I'll get more into that in a little while. Without getting stuck in, I suppose, if you were going to liken it to walking a path, so you might, a bit like Red Riding Hood, who went off to pick something in the woods on the way to her grandma's, and she kind of got a bit off track. Yeah, so it's a bit like that. So you might go off road for a little bit, yeah, off path for a little bit, and you might get lost. So that's getting stuck, yeah, on either side of the middle path. So the idea of walking that middle path is that you don't get stuck. You know how to go in and get back out again. It's a bit, I suppose you could say, that's a little bit like guerrilla tactics. So you go in, you get what you need, you come back out again. And in this climate that we're in at the moment, I think it's a skill that, is actually quite important. I don't place importance on a lot of things, but that's a real skill. So my journey to the middle path has come via many things, actually. There's been many roads have led to the middle path. One of them was soul realignment. So when I was doing my training in that, I had to learn, even before I'd done a reading to find out who I was at a soul level, and even before I went into the Akashic Records, I had to learn not to be triggered by stuff. And for me, that was that was a huge mountain. That was my personal Everest that I had to climb in order to not be triggered, because I was triggered by everything. And funny enough, when I finally went into my Akashic records after I'd done all my training, I realized why that was, because I had many things that I was attached to and that were attached to me that would trigger me in the most bonkers ways, actually. So that was my kind of first venture into, like walking this middle path. And I'll definitely say the witchcraft and learning to be able to face things without being triggered. One of the deities, in fact, that help, well, in fact, there's two. I work with many, but the two main ones, I could talk about that for weeks, years, was Arianrhod. Now, she is a weaver. She is Arachnia in another form. But what she teaches you is how to jump from web to web without getting stuck on any particular web or any particular train of thought or any particular way of being. One of the ways that we describe this is fluidic thinking. So part of being on this middle path is not getting stuck in particular ideologies, or being opening your mind to infinite possibilities. So that's essentially what it means to walk the middle path. We also kind of identify as being Voidians. If you don't know what Voidianism is, it's basically that is being open to all the possibilities that are in that quantum space of the void, which is nothing and everything at the same time. Anyway, so Arianrhod, I think she was one of the first deities that I connected with, and she has definitely taught me the value of not getting stuck in a particular way of being. Yeah. The other one I would say was definitely Hecate, because she really put things in front of my face, and she still does now, which challenge my way of being, my, you could say, belief systems, if you like, especially recently. The biggest test for walking this middle path recently has been the institution of the NHS. Now that, if you get stuck in that, oh my God, it is like a spider's web, that it's like being wrapped up by a spider, and you can't. So how do you break free of that once you're in it? But I'm actually walking. I'm actually finding my path out of that right now, actually, and it's very interesting, because as we're doing that, because I'm leading this with Ian, as I'm finding my way out of this, things are dropping away, and it's really interesting, because that's the thing about the middle path. And I don't know that I've only known of one belief system, let's call it that actually uses this as a practice. And that, believe it or not, is the Church of Rational Satanists. How do I know that? We went to one of their meetings once, and it was very interesting. They talk, so they're not part. I don't think they're part of the Anton LaVey thing, because they're rational. Not that Anton LaVey is irrational, but you know what I mean. And they talk. The way they talk is, well, the guy that we were, whose meeting we went to, they very much walk the middle path, and they will take things from different things. They will look at it on the middle path, and if it is a fit, they will incorporate it. If it's not a fit, they put it back on the shelf. They might come back to it at a later date. Well, they might put it in the bin. So when we found that out, we're like, okay, that's actually really cool. But even the Gnostics, we got kicked out a couple of years ago. We got kicked out of a Gnostic gathering. we only went 3 times. It was on a Saturday morning, I think it was, and we only lasted three goes, and we were out because we obviously said or did something that triggered the guy big time, and we got kicked out. So even the Gnostics don't walk the middle path. They're very I don't even know what you call it. I mean, our experience was they have a very fixed way of looking at things, and if you challenge that, you're out, basically. So, that's the other thing about walking the middle path, and it's something that I, as a, I've been teachers of many things: yoga, meditation, witchcraft, the occult. I love it when a student comes up to me and says, I've got this. Have you ever heard of it? And I go, no, what is it? I love it when a student teaches me something, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? You can't be a teacher who knows everything. That's impossible. Because everyone has a different perspective. Yeah. So on this middle path, it's I think the number one thing at the top is mind is open, heart is open, and whatever passes in front of your magical eyes is a signpost. Yeah. So, example. So a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, listening to Diana Cooper, and she was talking about these portals that she's opened in her garden. They're to do with archangels, and they're to do with planets. And at the end of this video, she gave her audience permission to, in fact, she said, I want everyone to go and do this. So it took a couple of weeks for us to get all the stuff together, because Ian had to draw the portals. And then he had to wait for me to do the laminating on them and everything. But so it was 2 days ago. We put these out in the garden. We opened the portals, which was great. And then we took the dog for a walk. And as we're walking down the road, and this is funny because 2 days before that, Ian had said, I haven't seen starlings, like a big flock of starlings, for a very long time. And I thought, no, not right, actually. And they used to land on the green and take off all in one big swoop. And, it was amazing. And they make that really cool noise. And I've learned how to call back to them. It's really funny. So as we're walking the dog down the road, all of a sudden, right in front of us, like on the path, on the middle path, all these starlings started to gather in the trees. There must have been hundreds of them. And what was really weird about that is only a few days ago, we watched the birds. I'm like, Ian, it's the birds. So there's a little Hitchcock thing going on there as well. And they were just so... Even now, when I'm talking about it, it's like I was grinning so much, my head hurt. But they were just so, I don't know, they were singing. They were singing and making that noise. So I was calling back to them, and it was like, wow, we've just opened these portals in the garden, and we get this massive confirmation from starlings that That's great. And then there was a crow at the end. So they stopped really suddenly. And then the crow went, caw, caw. And we're like, okay, so that's more confirmation. And then there are a few other things that happened as well on the walk. But when you're on that middle path and you are observing everything that is passing in front of your magical eyes, yeah, it's all relevant. You might not like some of the things that are passing in front of your magical eyes, but it's all relevant. It's all part of this synchro-mystic path that you're walking, yeah. And when you can really observe that and kind of know what it is, if that makes sense. So we knew that those starlings doing what they were doing was confirmation that opening that portal has activated something quite weird with a Y, or as Ian says, strange, high strangeness, you could say. And we've, since we opened those portals, and they are open down our path as well, which I think is just really cool. Since we've opened them, there have been little things that have happened. We've had things happen around money. We've had things happen, just things that don't normally happen. Yeah. It's like today. the postman never talks. Yeah, they don't talk around here. But just recently we've been having the same. It's a post lady that we get now. And we'd gone out, we were coming back again, walking the dog, as you do. And we said hello, and she went, "Oh, hi." She said, "Oh, you're number 19, aren't you?" We're like, "Yeah." "I've just left a parcel on your doorstep. Is that okay?" I'm like, they never, ever talk like that. So opening up these portals has opened something else, yeah, on this middle path. So this synchro-mystic journey on this middle path is already opening up things, yeah, which is the magic. That's the magic. So walking the middle path is, for me, I really had to work on not being triggered by stuff, to be able to, because all the time that you're being pulled this way or that way by, things that you allow to trigger you, you can't focus on that middle path. You can't focus on observing the things that pass in front of your magical eyes, because you're constantly allowing yourself to be triggered by stuff. And I put my hand up. I was extremely reactionary, and that was fueled by alcohol as well. So that was actually probably one of the biggest things when I stopped drinking. And I'm like, how am I going to live without alcohol? But in actual fact, by knocking that on the head, it's allowed me to do something I'd never, ever thought I would do, which is know myself and not be afraid of that. So, the middle path is so many things. But what it does, I suppose, is it gives you a firm foundation on which to be creative, to learn or relearn how you express yourself through your creativity. Yeah. And really not allowing those things to come in and knock you off the path. Don't get me wrong. There have been times when I have got lost out there in the wilderness off the path. But increasingly is quicker coming back, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I think we all know that the con gave us a massive opportunity to not be dragged off our path by anything. And if we can come through the other side of that shit and not be, out in the wilderness, lost, then I think pretty much anything is within our grasp. Because that was some serious pulling. They're trying to pull you this way, pull you that way, which is kind of, where experiences. So, it could be a really positive experience, or it could be a really negative experience that can pull you off that path. Obviously, if it's a good experience, it's not too bad, yeah. But you can still get lost in the midst of a really positive experience, because what's an example? Okay, so a few years ago, we met a lady she's got an amazing voice. She's a lovely person, but she wanted us to basically do her like a bit like a manager, for what she did, and it all sounded great. But she wasn't willing to like do things like travel. It's like, if you want to, share what you do with people, you kind of need to, because what she did was it involved an audience, like a live audience. So you kind of needed to travel a bit to do that. Do you get me? So that experience, it ended up not being a positive one, even though it looked really great to begin with, and it was fun. Things that she did were fun, but it kind of didn't pan out how she was painting it. Yeah. So, when we came back from that experience, we were a bit knackered because we put a lot of energy and a lot of time into this. So, a positive experience can get a bit sticky. Which is why it's important to know thyself, yeah, on this middle path. So, people ask that question, well, how do I do that? And that's through that inner self-inquiry, yeah. And by the way, if anyone is interested in doing any of this work that involves the kind of learning, the learning and unlearning journey, if you like, the unraveling of all those things that we're programmed with. I was watching a video today. This really cool guy, actually, and one of the first things he said was, "I've got some bad news. We are all programmable." And it's like, yeah. That's the only way that we've been able to be, or we've allowed ourselves to be controlled, yeah, through being very easily programmable. But the really cool thing about that is, because we are easily programmable, you can program yourself. I love that. That's a really good flip it, actually. Which is another thing about the middle path. See, in this idea of fluidic thinking comes the flipping of things. So if you are experiencing something that doesn't quite gel, to say the least, you can flip it. One of the ways you can flip it is to, I suppose, reprogram what it is that that little voice, is saying to you. So, what would be an example? Okay, so yeah, this is quite funny actually. So our downstairs neighbour, not a nice person, at all. Just there are no words for it really. She's violent, aggressive, just not very nice, and she's also a big liar. So when we were experiencing what she was doing, it was quite hard to flip that, but we did. So one of the ways that we flipped it was to see what. This is what happens when you kind of pierce through illusion. That's not really the overlay. So that's not just the overlay of what's going on out there, but people's overlays, they're masks. When you pierce through those masks and you see what's really going on with a situation or a person or an experience, it's a lot easier to flip it. So and that really can only be done when you observe, when you, on that middle path, you take that step back and you observe, you get a lot of insight. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So what we observed when we stepped back was, it's almost like it's like vampire energy. So when she gets attention, she's fed and she's up, and then it drops very quickly, and then there's quiet for a few days, and then she gets fed again and she's up and like, and then it drops and she's quiet for a few days. There's a cycle going on there. So that was the flip it. Does that make sense? So I hope that makes sense. So that kind of part of walking that middle path is being able to slow down. That's the other thing. If you are intent on being the observer, I don't even think that's a word, although I do make up words. To be the observer, you have to slow down. Think of it like this. If you're going down your middle path at 100 miles an hour, you're not going to see anything. You're not going to see anything at all. But if you are walking slowly down your middle path, you will be able to see these things. You will see the signposts. You will know, like in the Celestine prophecy. I know I'm always talking about the Celestine prophecy, but it very clearly shows you how it works. When you're walking down your path, it becomes your path, your true path will be illuminated, which is the magic we've been doing for a few years now on Samhain, like just reinforcing the illuminated path.
Angie, I think we've lost you finally there. It's been wobbling for a while.
Oh, was it?
But we finally lost your audio.
Can you hear me now?
You've been rubber banding for quite a while.
Damn it.
But you've completely gone now.
Can you hear me now?
Maybe try clearing your cache in there.
Okay.
Even come back in, that's a good one. Yeah, that might work.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Ah.
I can hear you now.
That's bloody technology. It's a bit rubbish, isn't it?
No, you're sounding better now. We can definitely hear you.
That's good.
All right.
Yeah, where was I? Middle path. Yeah, Celestine prophecy. So it shows you in that film how it works. So when you're able to slow down your path, you will see your path being illuminated. You will know, because like the starlings the other day, wow, confirmation. That was absolutely, that wasn't a little signpost, that was a billboard that told us, yes, this is it, this is the right path, you're on the right path, carry on. I was also thinking, it was I think it was last night when I was like kind of in my mind, like getting an idea of what I was going to talk about today. Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings, yeah. So Gandalf is a wizard, obviously. Yeah, you might know that, you might not know that. So what happens to Gandalf before, obviously, he meets the Balrog and is reborn, if you like, as an eternal being? He gets pulled off his middle path by someone who is meant to be his friend. Remember his name? Sauron. Can't remember. Oh, it's gone. The other wizard, yeah, who completely pulls him off of his path. So what that tells me is even when you are a Gandalf, yeah, you can be pulled off your middle path if you are not being the observer, if you're not stepping back. So in that instance, you could say that Gandalf was quite triggered. You could say that because he was triggered into he was a little bit fearful, actually, was Gandalf, because that's why he went there. Not Sauron, Saruman, that's it. So he was a little bit, he's like, oh, I'm not quite sure, better go and consult my, because this wizard was kind of above him, yeah, in the hierarchy. And he got completely pulled off his path. Obviously, the eagles came and got him, and, everything was great. But, that made me think, actually, when I was, kind of pondering, what I was going to talk about. So I, even when we are walking the middle path, even when we are, we've been walking this middle path for a long time, you can still get pulled off your path by surprises, I would say. Because that's what I was going to say earlier. There have been many times when, you fall over on your path and you're like, I really do not want to get back up. Yeah. Or you think, oh, why am I doing this? Especially if you're spinning your wheels on the middle path. Yeah. But what I would say is that the more you walk this middle path, it's not even the quickness of how you get back up. It's how you get back up. I don't know if that makes sense. So if you get back up, and I suppose for me it's like taking stock. So that's what this walking this middle path through this institution, the NHS, has been all about. It's brought us all the way around back to the thing that we already knew about that institution. Yeah. And the thing that we already knew about, the beings that we really are. And what it's done is it's strengthened that. Which, when you're in the middle of, laying on the floor on the middle path going, oh God, what is this? You might not even be able to see the way out. You might not even be able to fathom how this is going to unfold. But when you know thyself, there is a trusting there, but there's more of underneath all that doubt is a knowing. That's what I would say. That's something the middle path brings. It brings that knowing. It brings the knowledge and action together. When they come together, that's wisdom. For the way I see it, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't put it into action, it's never gonna form an experience that brings wisdom. I don't know if that makes sense. For me, I suppose that's what this journey as a human, as a being on this planet is kind of all about. As we walk this middle path on this journey of the expansion of consciousness. I mean, I suppose 30 years ago, if someone had said to me, if someone was speaking to me the way I'm talking now, I wouldn't have understood it. I would not have understood it at all. I wasn't gifted with parents that had any inkling of any kind of anything but, the very muggly, Ningboy type world. So I had to find my middle path by myself. When I say by myself, obviously with the help of Ian, and both together, we're kind of walking that path. But I suppose I had inklings of it when I was younger. But I would not have understood this conversation back in my 20s. I would not have understood it at all. Because I was very firmly fixed in that reactionary, spiky, very spiky energy experience. So yeah, walking the middle path is, I don't know, it's just, I think it's probably one of the fastest, no, one of the more scenic routes, I suppose, to this expansion of consciousness, because I don't think it's a quick road. I think it's very witchy. In when you walk through the woods, being a witch, you're looking at everything, as a pagan, you're looking at everything. It's like, wow, it's a leaf, and wow, look at that. No, mind the dog poo. But if you're walking through the woods and you don't have that connection, it doesn't mean anything. That's my take on it anyway. And the cherry picking. I was going to come back to the cherry picking. So if you like, what's an example? Another example. Okay, so if you like Ganesh, for example, yeah, but you're not a Hindu, you don't practice the Hindu faith, it doesn't mean you can't honor Ganesh. If you resonate with Ganesh, then call his energy in. I mean, we're pagans, but we don't follow a particular, ideology or pantheon. We take from all kinds of places. We take from the Romans, thank you very much, the Greeks, the Hindu deities, Celtic deities, even deities that no one's heard of, that aren't really deities, they're more energies, planets. So that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that if you want to cherry pick Ganesh from the Hindu faith, you connect with him because he is an aspect of you. If he is calling you, because that's essentially what it is, yeah, if he is calling you, then it means there's a because we are multifaceted beings, there's a facet of you that is receptive to Ganesh calling you. So he is part of you. That's how I see deity or planets or, aliens, whatever. They're aspects of yourself, which is why if you're ever connecting to any kind of being, you don't bow and grovel ever. You meet them as equals. Never, ever supplicate yourself to any kind of anything, including governments. But meet them as, they're aspects of you. So they are equal. You are equal. Yeah. Yes, you might like, I don't know, like a friend or a member of your family. If you need something, and what's an example? Okay, so Lou, he is he is Irish and he's also Welsh. There's an aspect of Lou in both Irish and Welsh. The pantheons of those places. And he is a master of all skills. Yeah. So if there was something that you wanted to him to lend you as an aspect of yourself, then you could ask that. Obviously, it's a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Blah, blah. It's a bit more more involved than that, but essentially that's what you're doing. I'm getting off the subject there. Middle path, fluidic thinking, cherry picking. So we don't connect to all the Hindu gods, but we certainly connect with Ganesh. Kali is a big one. She's been with me for many years, actually. Kali. So we take, we'll take something down off the shelf, and sometimes those things that you connected with years ago, you might have outgrown those things, because as we evolve and our consciousness expands, and that's why the middle path is such a good, such a cool path to walk, because it allows for that moving and shifting. It allows for that evolution of your consciousness and your way of being, and how you are in the world. So many people, we see so many people that are stuck in just being the same all the time, repeating those cycles. Like our downstairs neighbour, she's in that loop of cycling up and down and up and down and up and down. There's no consistent energy there, which is, from a soul realignment perspective, she's either not got a soul, or her soul is so misaligned that she's not plugged into divine source energy, because that is a constant flow of energy. Where was I going with that? Blah, blah. Can't remember. Anyway, so the middle path is I never ever thought I would ever be extolling the virtues of the middle path. I have to say. So if anyone, wants to comment or ask a question, feel free to do so.
Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Yes.
The middle path.
The middle
A bit
path.
like you. I've always been that rebel. I've always been that go against the grain kind of character.
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming from, especially with the spiky hair too.
I had spiky hair. I was just spiky generally, especially if I'd had a drink.
Right, I see.
Oh yeah. I was,
But I would always be the sort of stand out from the rest of the crowd type of person. Don't go with the flow. Always be on the extreme. Always be the rebel. Always have a cause, though. Never a rebel without a cause. That's just being angry.
Oh, I was very angry. I was angry at everything and everyone.
I think I was more frustrated and pissed off than angry. Just in general, with the way things were back then.
Yeah.
And even now, as I get older, I'm even more pissed off. But I've also learned to walk that middle path.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a middle path kind of. I think as you get older and wiser, and you look at the world with a more sort of cynical, critical eye, you realise that your energy is precious, and you're not wasting it anymore on the crap that's out there. If other people want to waste their energy on the crap, fine, crack on.
Yeah.
But my energy, I will focus where it needs to be focused, and where I think it will do the most good. And, that's my middle path.
Cool. I like that.
Has anybody else got thoughts on Angie's topic for tonight on the middle path.
The middle
I know
path.
it was difficult to keep track of what you were saying some of the time, Angie, because of your connection issues, and then you did drop out completely and utterly. And but yeah, you've been rubber banding for most of it. But yeah, I followed it. I hope everybody else can and will follow it as well. Those listening back on the recording. But yeah, no, it made sense.
Cool.
I totally get it.
Anyone else have anything?
I'm going to say I can't see anybody else unmuting to throw the two penn'orth in, as it were.
Well, if you want to stop the recording, Andy, because that sometimes that.
Do you want to say a few final words on the middle path?
Yeah. Keep them peeled, as they used to say. Because all the things that pass in front of your magical eyes they're there to be seen. It's like a movie. Yeah. Think of it like that. So, yeah, when you're walking your middle path, keep them peeled.
Stopped it there on the chuck